And back to those two top stories we have for you today, of course, pertaining to the judgments in which we saw from the Constitutional Court. Of course, this pertaining to former President Jacob Zuma and the Correctional Services Department, as well as President Cyril Ramaphosa and the issue of the Public Protector. We're now joined by Legal Analyst, Advocate Romeo Nthambeleni, and he joins us via our Zoom link. Romeo, thank you so much for joining us here on the late edition. Let's start off with the latest one coming out from the Constitutional Court, and that is, of course, former President Jacob Zuma pertaining to the correctional services as well. What do you make of that court outcome?
Good evening to you and the viewers, and thanks for having me. The Supreme Court of Appeal deals with appeals in criminal matters, and it is the history of this court that when they make judgments relating to criminal matters, the Constitutional Court hardly interferes with the decisions of the Supreme Court of Appeal. And this was the same position in relation to this matter, that the Constitutional Court has actually confirmed the decision of the Supreme Court of Appeal and affirmed the ruling that was actually made by the Supreme Court of Appeal in relation to the issues pertaining to the arrest of the former president.
And when we take a closer look in terms of the judgment in which we saw, I mean, people are coming out and they are saying that, the call saying that former President Jacob Zuma will now have to go back to prison is being misinterpreted. What do you have to say about pertaining to the fact that the former president would have to go back to prison? Is this being misinterpreted?
Yeah, I think that's correct. I think the determination still has to be made by the correctional services. That is what the Supreme Court of Appeal has indicated in their judgment in terms of the serving of the sentence of the president, whether the time that he has spent out will be counted as he may having been in prison. So this is done by the commissioner himself. So I think it is a misinterpretation, because that determination has to actually be made. Don't forget that when he's out on parole, he's equally serving his sentence. So that determination, indeed, it is correct. It's not a decision saying that the Constitutional Court said that he must be sent back to prison. That is not the decision of the Constitutional Court. They confirmed the decision of the Supreme Court of Appeal that sent the matter back to the commissioner to make a determination on how he actually has to serve his sentence. So on that score, I think that the matter is not yet finalized until the decision of the commissioner will be made and announced in relation to that particular sentence.
And while we wait, of course, for the Correctional Services Department, at the same time, there are calls here saying that President Cyril Ramaphosa can intervene and, of course, can institute a presidential pardon. Can that still happen in this regard with this matter?
Yeah, I think that is jumping the gun. The decision has to be made by the Commissioner of Correctional Services relating to the sentence itself, and then remission of sentences and pardons happen by with the president when there's a proper application that has been brought to the president for him to consider. So now we cannot be talking about that, because there is no such application before the president that the president must actually entertain. So all these processes that must be done by the correctional services must be done, and then after that a determination can be made when a proper application that is brought under the Constitution and within the law has to actually be be made to the president. Then the president might consider it and then make a determination in relation to that application. But for now, it is not before us.
And coming to the issue of President Cyril Ramaphosa and coming to that Western Cape High Court ruling, which has now been overturned, pertaining to the suspension of the Public Protector. Maybe can you weigh in on that as well? We saw a different ruling coming out of the Western Cape High Court, and this has now been overturned by the Constitutional Court.
Yeah, it was 3 applications that were consolidated, and then today we found that there was a unanimous judgment that was handed down by Maya in the afternoon, and I think that decision was very much clear in relation to the position relating to the suspension of the president and the powers that the president has, in terms of the constitution to exercise this prerogative to suspend the public protector. And then the court looked at the provisions of section 675, also section 172A of the constitution in relation to the powers of the president to suspend the public protector. And the court unanimously agreed that indeed it was a rational decision that the president had taken to actually suspend the public protector in order to allow her an opportunity to deal with the inquiry that was before Parliament. And that is the unanimous agreement of the Constitutional Court on the matter, that there was no conflict of interest on the side of the president, because merely the president was being investigated by the Office of the Public Protector. And on that, they further indicated that while the public protector was suspended, the acting public protector proceeded with the investigation against the president, and there were findings that were actually made, and then that you and me are aware in relation to the para issue. So I think that is what the Constitutional Court looked at in arriving at the decision which they've actually arrived at.